There are no throwaway games here, in my opinion.
None.
This is March, baby. Saddle up. It's going to be fun. The SEC tournament is premier basketball right now. Okay, let's do the non-Auburn side of things first. Work our way to who could potentially see Auburn could potentially see if they make it that far. Slight prediction, just quick predictions from us here. Let's go in that first game, LSU versus Mississippi State. Who do you got?
I got State. I think Mississippi State will beat LSU and move on.
In a close one, I have Mississippi State as well. I think LSU is going to scare them a little bit. I do think Mississippi State's a much better team than the number 10 seed in this one.
I do too.
But as I've told you, even these bottom two teams, you got to look out for them. But Mississippi State moves on. Oklahoma at Georgia. At Georgia. This is all in Nashville, by the way. Oklahoma versus Georgia. Who you got?
I got the Bulldogs. I think Georgia will pull ahead. They've just been playing better lately, and I think Oklahoma's had a rough year.
Yeah, I do. I think they're probably the ones that have probably had the most rough year in the SEC just because their expectations were probably much higher than this. Georgia has been a bit of an upstart team at times, like being much higher ranked, but then falling back down. I think Georgia wins this one too. So it seems like we're pretty even coming through the pike here so far. Missouri versus Mississippi State for us. Another interesting matchup. Missouri's been a team that's been very, very strong, especially late in the season. Thankful we didn't have to see them until we got to only see them in the beginning of the SEC schedule. Who do you got?
I'm sorry, which game?
Missouri, Mississippi State.
Okay, we're moving ahead in the next game. Yeah, I'm going to pick Missouri. It's hard for me to believe that they ended up at a 7, just because of how well they've been playing this year, and they were so close to getting to that Friday double bye. But I think that Missouri will probably take down Mississippi State. They've trailed off here at the very end of the year, but I've got Missouri moving on to Friday.
Yeah, we're doing things a little bit unconventional here. I'm moving through this side of the bracket, and then we'll come back to the Auburn side. Doing a little bit different, just trying new things. I've got Missouri as well going on this one. I think they're just playing too strong right now. Gates has got them playing very, very strong. Kind of scared of them, to be honest. Thankfully, they're on the other side. Have you noticed that on this side of the bracket, a lot of Auburn's current and potential problems will all take themselves out?
Yeah, very true. Like this is why you work for the whole season to get that one seed.
Yes.
You tend to get the benefit.
Yes. All right. Georgia versus Kentucky is what we have predicted for this next matchup. What do you think?
I will go the Cats. I think the Cats have been playing very well lately. Obviously had the big win at Missouri. Auburn took him down last weekend, but I think that Kentucky will do enough to beat Georgia and move on to Friday.
I agree. Kentucky moves on, and too much talent, even for Georgia, who's playing well at times this year. I think that is who moves on. Next up in the quarterfinals on this side of the bracket, Florida versus Missouri is what we both had. Maybe do we see some difference here? What do you think?
We could. I'm going to go the Gators because I think the Gators are the second best team in America, behind your Auburn Tigers. But I think Florida and Ty Golden are absolutely dominant so far this year. I think that they have got a lot worked out, regardless of the injuries that have come their way. I think they'll beat Missouri and move into the semifinals for the second straight year.
I'm going to still say with the Gators there. I think this is going to be one of the best matches we talked about thus far, though, between Missouri and Florida. I'm very much looking forward and hoping that one comes to fruition. On the other side of that quarterfinal, you've got Alabama versus Kentucky, which will also be an incredible matchup based off the performance of both teams this year. Once again, thankful that they are all eliminating each other, at least the majority of them. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The fact that Missouri, Florida, Kentucky, and Alabama are the quarterfinal games that we have predicted on the other side of the bracket is the best draw you can ask for, in my opinion, if you're an Auburn fan. I think Alabama will beat Kentucky. I think they'll move on to the semifinals. I think it'll be a very, very high-scoring game, and I love that it's that late-night game in Nashville. I think they've played that late-night game against each other a couple times here in the last few years. And so I think that'll be a great one to cap it off on Friday night. But I think it'll set up for another big Alabama-Florida one.
Not so fast, my friend.
All right.
Blue Nation loves the SEC tournament, and they take down the Alabama Crimson Tide and knock them off their little high horses they're on right now because they haven't been they've been having to stay behind us for the most of the year. But either it could go either way. I'm just going to predict Kentucky wins this one. So either way, we've got Florida in this semifinal game to get to the championship game. Then you got either Alabama or Kentucky. Who are you sending through?
I'm sending Florida through, regardless of if they're playing Alabama or Kentucky. I think Florida is just too good. I have them playing Alabama, and they've already shown they can beat them this year. And I think that Florida team is Final Four good. And I think that they will give any team they face a bunch of fits. It's March, so anything can happen, but I think Florida will head to the SEC championship for the second straight year.
And I will agree with you, even though I differed on who the opponent would be. I think Florida makes it through for the second straight year. Now, the big question is, on the other side of the bracket, who will Auburn be facing, and what are their chances to make it for that rematch, not just of the season, but of last year's SEC championship tournament game? Let's work through it real quick. South Carolina and Arkansas to get us started off in the first round on that side. Who do you got?
Yeah, just a surprising year all the way around for South Carolina, right? After such a great year last year, Lamont Paris being head coach or coach of the year in the league. But I think that their misery will be put to an end. I think Arkansas and John Calipari, his first time wearing red in Nashville, he'll take down South Carolina.
I agree. I think John Calipari will find the magic, even though he's not with Kentucky. Arkansas moves on. Next up, Texas versus Vanderbilt. This one could be quite interesting. Vanderbilt's been a bit of an upstart team. Probably should be in that second group, the at least first round bye in some people's eyes. What do you think?
I'm going to say Vanderbilt, but it would not surprise me in the least bit with Texas for this first game if they take down Vanderbilt. I think Trey Johnson for Texas is an incredible player. I think he might be newcomer of the year in the SEC or freshman of the year. I love the way he plays, and I think he's got the perfect kind of moxie and player to be that March falls in love with and wills the team on a run. But I'm going to pick Vanderbilt for this game.
I'm going to pick Texas for this game.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Trey Johnson, and I think that this one could literally go. It might be the most competitive of all of the first rounders that we've talked about. Okay, we both picked Arkansas to move on. Let's talk about Arkansas versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been a very good team this year. What do you think? Who moves on to face Auburn?
Yeah, I think that we'll get that third game between Auburn and Ole Miss here. I think Chris Beard is one of the best play-by-play coaches we have in the league. I think he'll do a good job against John Calipari and this team. And Ole Miss will move on to Friday against the number 1 seed Auburn.
I disagree. I think John Calipari finds the magic and gets the win to move on to face Auburn in a rematch. Auburn versus Arkansas in the quarterfinals. On the other side of that side of the bracket, we have got differing opponents for Texas A&M, but does the outcome matter? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it does matter. I'm picking Vanderbilt to make it to the quarterfinals on Friday. I just like the way this team plays. I think that they have a lot of guards that can make big time plays with A&M's guards. They certainly have Wade Taylor, but just injury bug has been an issue with A&M. I think Vanderbilt, let's not forget, this is in Nashville, and they've like Kyle said, they've been an upstart team with a lot of attendance this year. I think Vanderbilt will be able to make it a really good game, win really late, and beat A&M and move on to set up a rematch with their in-state rivals, Tennessee.
Even with all the injuries, the talent is just too good. Buzz Williams is just a nightmare of a matchup against. I still have Texas A&M going through. So we are very different in this side of the bracket thus far. Okay, let's save Auburn's pick for just a second here and finish this last one that won't include Auburn, and that's the one we just talked about. He had Vanderbilt moving all the way through to face Tennessee, so a Tennessee versus the state of Tennessee matchup here in Nashville. And then I had Texas A&M. So what do you think? Are you saying Vanderbilt moves forward still? Or are you going to pick Tennessee?
No, the dream will end for the Commodores. I think Tennessee moves on to the semifinals. And we get that would ruin my pick for the other game. But we'll get Tennessee on the Saturday, and they get the best of Vanderbilt in the in-state rivalry.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Tennessee moves on even if they face Texas A&M. I think that if that is when the injuries will catch up to Texas A&M if they haven't already. Auburn versus either Ole Miss or Arkansas. We differ. Does Auburn get the monkey off its back? Does Auburn move forward into the semifinals, Austin?
Yeah, I think they do. I think Auburn breaks their losing streak. We got a lot of rest. I think the double bye could not come at a better time for Auburn. They will get nearly a week off to work on all these things that we've been talking about, all these things they've already planned and prepared for this week. And I think Auburn will take down either of those opponents that they're placing, whether it's Ole Miss, Arkansas, or South Carolina. And I think that this team will grind it out and be able to work on things. But I think the talent of Auburn will overcome that opponent, and they'll get on to Saturday. So I have the top 4 seeds in the semifinals on Saturday, basically chalk.
Yeah, basically it looks like at this point. I have Auburn moving forward over Arkansas in what is going to be, I think, a tough fight. I think Calipari is just going to be someone who's itching to prove himself in the SEC tournament once again outside of Kentucky, but Auburn gets the job done. Auburn versus Tennessee, no matter how you slice it for us, who wins?
It's going to be an absolute dogfight. It was in Neville Arena back in January. I think, though, since that game, Tennessee has lost a lot of their defensive prowess. I know Auburn just gave up 90, but I think Auburn's shown on a grander scale that they have consistently done what they were doing leading into that game since then. So I think Auburn plays Florida in a rematch for the SEC championship.
I think my heart tells me that that's what we're going to have. I am a little snake bitten by this week, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and trust not just one game that was a bad game and 2 games that was a bad game, but the entire body of work, as some of you online need to learn, that you just because you want to sound cool and hip with the times around the water cooler. Oh, look, Auburn's not a Final Four team just because they lost 2 games. Look at the full body of work, folks. I'm telling you, I'm out here with this team. I'm putting my faith in Coach Pearl, these players, these seniors, these older guys to get it right. They return to the championship game, Auburn, Florida, rematch of the season, rematch of last year. So that is the question, Austin, for us at hand. Do the Auburn Tigers take down the Florida Gators for the SEC tournament title? What say you?
Man, I really wish I would say yes. I think the student will get the better of his master this time around. I think that this Florida matchup for Auburn, it just does not look good. It didn't look good when they came into Neville Arena. They have the personnel to beat Auburn, and they've already shown it once. Now, it could go back and forth. I think it'll be much closer than it was in Neville Arena because both have learned from the other. Certainly more so on Auburn's side than Florida learning what they need to do to beat Auburn. They already know that. But I think that will be a very, very close game. But I think that not back-to-back for Auburn in the SEC tournament, but they'll get a loss in Nashville against Florida.
I hate that we agree so much, and I hate that
they're good, man. They are a very good team.
They are a good basketball team, and we are thankful that all of that side of the bracket gets to eliminate each other, all but one, but the best is going to come out of it. And I will say that Todd Golden gets to show why he's such a great coach and takes down the Auburn Tigers, sadly, in the SEC tournament title. But it's a good bounce back for the Tigers after this week.
Here's what I hope. If this comes to fruition, I hope that gives them enough to be the number 2 overall seed, the other 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and put them on the other side. Yeah, I mean, different corners. Like, just if they make the SEC championship and then beat Auburn again, we're not here to debate. This isn't the Duke experience, so we're not going to debate their week schedule. But I think that they should far and away prove they are far more talented than the cakewalk Duke will have the ACC title in their tournament. So far away as possible for Florida. I would love that.
Well, no matter how you shake it, I think we both expect a relative bounce back for the Tigers. Maybe not to the fullest extent, but at least returning mostly to form.
It's going to be such a fun week.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be so fun. So saddle up, folks. There's our preview and our predictions. Certainly we'd love to hear yours as well.